Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant together verses number 6 and 7. Ahamityabhimantayah karta sautasya sadhanam manastasya kriyentah bahirvritti kramothite antarmukhahamithyesha vrittih kartaramullikhet bahirmukhedamityesha bahyam vastvidamullikhet. So, in these two verses, a very important premise is established between two kinds of cognitions, the I cognition, and the I cognition here we have to emphasize is not the same as Sat Chit Ananda Aham. Aham vritti, I cognition, rides upon the ahankara. Rides upon the ahankara means what? Is identified with the ahankara as I, the ruler of this body, mind, sense complex, the one that is the doer, the author, and author by extension, experiencer. Karta brings in bhokta. Okay? And then, so that is one vritti or one particular thought form which includes the I thought, which is manifest as the I thought. The I thought is there, and then what is the other thought form? This thought. So this thought, it's like almost the two kinds of lights that are, we can think of them as two spotlights. One is an internal spotlight, and what is it reflecting? What it is reflecting, I am karta, I am bhokta, I am dukhi. Sukhi is not a question, that's why we don't bring it in. Don't say why are Vedantins always so negative, you only talk of sorrow. I don't want to talk of sorrow. I only want to talk of Ananda. But people say, I know I am Brahman, but how to experience it? I am only experiencing sorrow. So therefore, I am constrained to talk about it as an interim reality which needs to be what? Eliminated in the light of this understanding. So one is the internal spotlight, and what is it shining the light upon? Ahankara. And the ahankara which is taking on what? Many roles. Now karta, now bhokta, now sukhi, now dukhi. And this is the one kind of spotlight, and the other kind of spotlight is what? Is called idam vritti, this cognition. And what is it shining the light on? All the things which can be objectified, here called as external. We have to ask an important question: internal to what? External to what? Because if we look at the idam vritti, this cognition, what about this body? Is it aham vritti or idam vritti? Idam vritti, this cognition. But what is the cause of sorrow connected with this body? It is mistaken to be aham vritti, I cognition. This is the problem. So body, idam vritti. Mind, idam vritti. Say, be careful. Senses, idam vritti. Thoughts, idam vritti. And then also supposing I think of a pleasant holiday I had when I was 5 years old. Is that aham vritti or idam vritti? Idam vritti, because it's being objectified. It's being thought of when? Now. Idam vritti. What is aham vritti? Then I cognition, and that I cognition, because it rides on the ahankara has as though usurped, okay, not really, as though usurped the I cognition for itself. So committing an identity theft here in broad daylight, and it mistakes the I for what? Doer. It recasts the I in the mold of the doer. Kartaham iti manyate. Bhokta aham iti manyate. It thinks of itself, I am doer, I am only this much. I cannot do anything more than this. I am finite, I am limited, I am dukkhi. Not only I am dukkhi, I cannot come out of this sorrow. This is all a conclusion based on the I and the I cognition mixing itself up and dragging the I to mistake the I for dukkhi. I am troubled, I am sad. You see, the I am is free. But then whatever I add on to it, it's the business of this aham vritti, the I thought. And what does the I thought do? It latches on the idam into the aham. We don't have to, it doesn't say that here, so we have to be carefully understand it. It's the mixing up of the idam and aham that leads to sorrow. Adi Shankara has said that in the introductory bhashya to the Brahma Sutra. We have seen that a little bit. So, adhyasyante janaha, there he says, all the people put this kind of a projection onto everything that we see. There will be put a projection. Sun is rising. It's not rising, but we say sun is rising. Sun is setting. It is most definitely not setting. But what do we say? Sun is setting. Sun is rising, sun is setting, this is happening, that is happening. All these things are basically examples of day-to-day adhyasa, day-to-day projections, day-to-day mistakes. And those mistakes are of two kinds in general. First is shobhana adhyasa. Many kinds of adhyasas are there. Positive projection. Oh, this is the best thing that happened to me. This is the best person I have ever met in my whole life. For how many days? For as many days as that person fulfills my raga dveshas. As long as what I want I am getting from that person, if I am getting whatever I want from you, my needs are being fed on a regular basis, not just needs, wants. So long as you are fulfilling all my wants and doing what I want, then you are the best ever. The moment that person does not fulfill the wants, then what happens? Another kind of adhyasa takes place, ashobhana adhyasa. Down with this person. Who said it is the best? It's the worst ever. And meanwhile, that person is what? Completely unaware that you are having either the first projection or the second projection, which goes to show that it's all in one's own head. That person is not aware that you have put them on a pedestal. That person is not aware that you have dragged them down from the pedestal onto the mud and dethroned them from the pedestal. They are not aware. Why? Because they are not participating in your projections. So, as long as my wishes and are fulfilled, I am getting fulfilled, I am getting what I want from you. You are doing exactly what I want and you are not doing what I don't want. You are the best, east or west. And as soon as you do something that I don't want, or you don't do something that I really want you to do, then you are the worst. This is all happening in the head. You see how the vrittis, cast a pall, and the vrittis are a kind of a internal samsara. And Swami Vidyaranya sees them as a game of two spotlights. Yeah. And this was already described in detail in chapter 8. Khaditya Deepite Kudye. He says that imagine a wall, a brick wall. The same chapter 8 of Panchadashi. Which chapter is this? 10. So 2 chapters ago, this nice metaphor was given. Imagine a wall, like a compound wall, a brick wall. And then what? You shine a small orb, mirror. Tiny mirrors you get. You shine a little small mirror. And then what do you see? You see it dancing. You see this specific spotlight of the mirror on the wall and you say, there it is, there it is. And if you're a cat, you will go try to catch this little orb. Now, Swami Vidyaranya says, is that in this fascination with the orb and its ups and downs and its various movements, what is forgotten is that which has lit up the orb itself. What is that? The light of consciousness. That light of consciousness has powered these two vrittis, and we are going to see that in the forthcoming verses. I'm giving the game away a little bit, but for the sake of better clarity. So neither aham vritti is the light of consciousness directly, it is borrowing from the light of consciousness, and neither is the idam vritti the light of consciousness. That too is borrowing from the light of consciousness and lighting itself up and dancing in the light of consciousness. And then, so therefore, these two orbs, the aham vritti and the idam vritti, create havoc in the mind and make the advaya, because you see we had stopped on a premise earlier. So advayananda jivasya sadvayatvam cha dukkhita. So for this advaya, for this advaya and for this ananda, for this non-dual and totally free, limitless, joyful jiva, what is the problem? How does the sorrow come? The sorrow is there because of this mix-up between aham and idam. Not recognizing this mix-up. And the aham here is not aham, it is aham vritti. There is a very big difference. Aham, consciousness. Sat chit ananda. Aham vritti is that which is lending its light to the ahankara, which says, I am this much alone. I am as good as the body, I am as good as the mind, I am as good as my aches and pains, I am as good as the senses, I am as good as my emotions. This is a very big one. Morning happy, afternoon this is me. And then we find, and the person will find causes. Oh, the moon must be void of course. That's why I am under the thrall of this emotion. Poor moon. So like this, we have all these explanations as well without looking at a very simple thing. And it is an inside job. Vedanta is a totally inside job. That's why Pujya Swamiji wrote the book. The problem is you. The solution is who? You, not the stars, not the moon, not the neighbor. Solution is also you. It's centered on you. It's centered on a non-understanding or a wrong understanding of you. Propitiating the stars will hopefully help you to see this with a lot of grace. But you have to see this. Because the problem is centered on me. And how long can I go on blaming the elements, the elementals, other jivas, Ishvara, and all these things? I have to take accountability. many people mistake accountability for blame. They are under the burden of self-blame because perhaps they have been blamed a lot in childhood, so they are very defensive. And so when you ask them to take responsibility or accountability for their emotions, for their actions, they feel it's like self-blame. There's a very big difference between taking accountability and then blaming oneself. In the latter, in self-blame, there is judgment. There is again adhyasa. Oh, why did I do this? Why didn't I do that? Kimaham sadhu na karavam. Kimaham papam akaravam iti. Why did I do the wrong thing? Why didn't I do the right thing? Taittiriya Upanishad. So this self-blame, that itself is an emotion. It's called guilt. So self-blame is again due to this adhyasa that I am a reprehensible person. How can you become a reprehensible person? You can't. What are you? Purna, Advaya, Ananda, Atma, Paramatma. You are not a reprehensible person. But then that feeling that it is all my fault, what does it do? It makes one feel guilty all the time. Sometimes the coping mechanism for guilt is absolute defensiveness, like it's all everybody else's fault, nothing is my fault. Not only that, as soon as I start to take accountability, like let me look at where this aham and idam are getting mixed up, let me see, then I feel like, oh my God, it's my fault. It's not your fault. Everybody has this mix-up. Naisargiko ayam loka vyavaharah. Naisargika means natural. It is natural to have this mix-up. So, neither Adi Shankara nor Swami Vidyaranya is singling one person out. You are the cause of this. No. Naisargikaha. It is everywhere. This idam vritti and aham vritti are there. As long as they are there, they will be mixed up. And my accountability, my responsibility here is to recognize the mix-up and de-link them with the help of the Shastra. This is what I have to effectively do. And in so doing, I'm giving myself a big present. Even though it's not your birthday, you're giving yourself a very, very huge present. It's a treasure. It's the best present ever. Why? Because you're learning to not personalize things and not to make something subjective when it is just an objective fact. This is the best present you can give yourself. And so therefore here, in these two verses are important, even though they are enlisting things, we have to look at them closely because they are going to be the foundation of what's going to come next. So this aham vritti, what is aham vritti? The I cognition, the I that is usurped by the ahankara. Does that make sense? Do you want me to repeat it? No. Good. So, aham vritti is consciousness that is usurped to be by the ahankara, and therefore it comes attached with what? Finitude, sorrow and samsara. This is aham vritti. Not to be confused with Satchidanandam Brahma Aham, Brahmatma. Now, what is idam vritti? Idam vritti is the cognition of external objects, and what he means by external objects is not external to the body. The body itself is external. So, external means, idam vritti means anything that can be said by the word, qualified by the word idam. This. Whatever I refer to as this is idam vritti. So these two vrittis are there. The first one is responsible for my deterioration from Satchidananda Advaya to Dvaya and Dukkhi, and then what else? Karta, Bhokta. The first, what is the contribution of aham vritti? It drags Satchidananda, as it were, as though. Because if it really drags, there is no need to have this class at all or any other classes. So, what is the contribution, the prasada, so to speak, of aham vritti is that this Satchidanandam Brahma, it makes into a simpering karta, bhokta, guilty, hurty. This is the one. And what is the contribution of idam vritti? Idam vritti lights up everything in the jagat, but then this lighting up, even though it's an objective act, because what is the idam vritti is also borrowing from the light of consciousness alone to light everything up, even though it's an objective act, the karta interferes in the understanding of everything that is named by this cognition. So simply it will light up. It will say, idam cup. This is cup. But then the aham vritti interferes and says, I don't have this cup. Such a nice cup. It's got some writing also on it. Bhagavad Gita verse is there. I don't have this cup. This cup belongs to somebody else. This is just an illustration, okay? Please don't bring this cup to me. Yeah, I'm telling you that. Just an example. So you see how the idam vritti, what has the idam vritti done? Shown the light and said, idam cup. This is a cup. And the aham vritti came here to mix itself up. It has no business coming here. What should it do? It should just stay in its lane. But what did it do here? Oh, first it was appreciative. Such a nice cup. And then after that, I don't have it. Unless it's mine, how can it be so nice? Bad cup. Ashobhana adhyasa. Because it belongs to somebody else. So you see how the whole process of even cognizing things in the universe is fraught with subjectivity. Immediately, the mine, not yet mine, comes into play. This is not mine. This is not yet mine. The whole world is divided into two. Half the things are mine, the other half the things soon to be mine. This is how it is. And so the idam vritti just lights up things, and the aham vritti inserts itself and says, how is this idam relevant to me? How can it help me? Help means what? Help me to float better in the ocean of samsara. Maybe this is a life jacket. Maybe I can use this as a life jacket. How can you use this cup as a life jacket? No, proverbially. If I am the owner of this cup, then everybody will look at me and validate me and say, this is a wonderful cup, like this. So many times, they have gold inlay work and all that. Very rare cups are there. All kinds of things are there in this universe. I'm the owner of this rare cup, limited edition. Only 299 others are in there in the whole universe. Custom made. But that's just a cup. Maybe inlaid with gold, but how is it helping you? Well, I am the owner. Okay, you are the owner, but how is it helping you? It's making me look good in samsara. Once I went to somebody's house for bhiksha with Pujya Swamiji, and the hostess took out some very famous dolls. I don't know what they are, but very, very famous dolls, and said, we are collecting these. And they showed, gave one to Pujya Swamiji to hold. He held it, and then he just casually asked, what is this? How much does it go in the market? And they said, $2,000 per doll. He quickly gave it back. Supposing it breaks or gets chipped, finished. So, this is how it is. It becomes the collector's item. Everyone wants to collect something. You don't want to collect the thing. What do you want to collect? Accolades. You want to collect the fact that you matter. You want to collect validation. You want to collect approval. You want to collect a sense of security. You want to collect something that will make your place in the world complete. That's what you want to collect. The question is why? Why do I want to collect all these things? Because I suffer from a sense of insecurity. Ayyo, studying Vedanta is so easy. Instead, we do Dravida Pranayama. You can catch the nose right here, you go like this and catch the nose. This is a roundabout effort. I feel insignificant, and Vedanta Shastra says, if you feel insignificant, this teaching is custom made just for you. No, I don't want that. Boring, Panchadashi, who has time? I don't have time. Why? What are you doing? I'm busy collecting things that will make me feel secure. And those things, are they lasting or are they not lasting? Not lasting. And when they get dropped, when they break, when they no longer help you to feel important, what will you do then? Don't worry, I'll collect a few more things. This is how samsara goes on and on and on. Pujya Swamiji used to tell one more story to illustrate this. One lady bought a very fancy, very expensive Kanjivaram sari, full of gold border and everything, silk. And then what's the point in having this sari sit in the cupboard? She started to feel very, very sorry for herself. And she said, no, I should have a party so that everybody will admire me in the sari. So then she said, let's have a party, called a few people. Everybody came, they appreciated her house, they appreciated her husband, they appreciated the food, they appreciated even the pet dog. What did they not appreciate? The sari. And the food was eaten, the appetizers were eaten, the food was eaten, all the wonderful juice and whatever else she had was drunk. It was time almost for people to go home. Desperate situation calls for desperate measures. So she came in front of the group, pretended to drink water the South Indian way. And what is the South Indian way? You drink it without touching the lips. Glug, 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 glug. You know, there should be at least 3 inches between you and the container of water. So she started to do that and deliberately spilled the water, ruined her own sari. And then she said, oh no, ayyo, such a beautiful, such an expensive sari. Now water has fallen on it. This is the tactics of the jiva, and the tactics of the jiva is all engendered by what? The aham vritti mixing up very sadly with the idam vritti. Okay, if this much is understood, we can go further, and let us do that. Idamo ye visheshaha. Oh, my mistake. Idamo ye visheshasyuhu. Gandharuparasadayah. Asankaryena tan bhindyat. Granadinindriya panchakam. Okay. So, idamaha, very interesting. This idam, he has directly converted into 6th case. The idam, 6th case of idam is asya. No, here, what has he done? Converted the word idam itself as a makaranta shabda, as a m ending consonant, and then made it into 6th case like marut. 6th case of marut is marutaha. 6th case of idam would be idamaha. Why? Because he is highlighting the vritti here. Idamaha, for this idam vritti, idamaha ye visheshaha syuhu. So idamaha means for the objects of this cognition, ye visheshaha syuhu. Listen to So it has a general component which is not talked about here and a specific component. So what has he done now? Divided the idam vritti into general and specific. Before we go to the verse, let me just explain so that you're not in suspense. So what is the general idam? Everything that is talked about as the objects of this cognition. This clock, this mic, this cup, this book, this table. General. But then there is also a specific component through which the idam vritti is highlighted. And what is that? Certain things I look at, certain things I discern by the sense of smell, certain things are discerned by taste, certain things by touch. These are the specific components of the idam vritti, and then the general component of the general aspect of idam vritti is what? Everything that comes under the rubric idam, 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 this cognition, this cognition. So what is he trying to say? Idamo hi ye visheshaha syuhu. So let us look at we have looked at the idam vritti in general. That refers to objects of this cognition. Now let us look at it from the angle of specificities. The same idam vritti going through the eyes is specifically targeted to highlight, objectify things that are to be seen, things that have form, things that have color. And then what else? And then certain things like gulab jamuns, idam vritti, all right. Generally speaking, idam vritti. But then how is it discerned? Through rasana. Rasana means what? The taste, the tongue. So like this, that is what he is saying. This is the purport of this. So idamaha ye visheshaha syuhu. And what are these visheshas? Gandha rupa rasadayaha. Gandha rupa rasa. Gandha means the fragrance, rupa form, and then rasa taste. Actually it is little bit out of order because probably to fit in the meter. Usually we say shabda, sparsha, and then rupa, rasa, gandha. From the subtlest we go to the grossest. Why? Because that's how it is. Shabda, sound. Because it's connected with the subtlest to the grossest 5 elements. So the sound is connected to space, which is the subtlest of the 5 elements. Shabda, sparsha. Sparsha is touch. Touch is connected to vayu. See, we can feel it. When you do it like this, you can feel the vayu. Shabda, sparsha, then rupa, form, fire. That's the first one, that is murta element that has form. And then after that, after fire, what comes? Water, rasa, taste. And then finally gandha, connected to earth, prithvi. So this is usually the order, but here he's taking some poetic license and he's mentioning 3, and then adi, he says adi, etc. Usually you mention 1 and say etc., but he is mentioning 3, and from the etc. we have to infer the other 2. Gandha, Rupa, Rasa he mentioned, Shabda, Sparsha we have to infer. And then asankaryena tan bhindyat. So bhindyat discerns. Asankaryena. Sankara, not Shankara, okay? Sankara. What is Sankara? Mix up. Sankara means mix up. Asankara means no mix up. Sankarya, Sankarasya bhava, making it into an abstract noun. Sankarya. This in the Bhagavad Gita also 2-3 times this word comes. Sankarasya kartasyam upahanyami maf prajaha. Around the 23rd verse of the 3rd chapter, where Lord Krishna says, if even though I don't need anything, I don't want anything, I pretend to be busy. I'm giving darshan, I'm going here, I'm killing Kaliya, I'm doing something or the other. Why? Because if I just sat quietly, I'll be a terrible role model and cause a mix-up in the already mixed-up brains of the people. And even Arjuna uses this word Sankara in the first chapter, where he says there will be an imbalance of women and men, because all the men will be killed in the war. There will be women defenseless, children orphaned, and then what? There will be a foreign invasion. Somebody will take advantage of the weakness of just mostly women being around, and then there will be a mix-up of civilizations, and we will lose our values, we will lose our dharma, we will lose this knowledge, all these things. So he says Sankara will take place. So this is a very interesting and a wonderful word to use to talk about mix-up. So here Bhindyat means it discerns. What does it discern? It discerns each and every object, the idam vritti. It means idam vritti. This idam vritti discerns each and every object without any mix-up. No mix-up is caused, and then it delineates all these objects with the help of Indriya Panchakam, with the 5 sense organs, starting with the sense of smell. Granadi. Granadi means a list which starts with grana, sense of smell. Why did he start with sense of smell? Look earlier, Gandha Rupa Rasadaya. He mentioned the smell first. So here also the corresponding sense organ, which is the olfactory nerves, are put together and presented in that way. It's very orderly. So what is he saying? The specific attributes of this cognition, smell, touch, form, etc., are discerned by the 5 sense organs without any mix-up. Each one does not mix up the other. And then, in the same way, next one. Kartarancha kriyam tadvat vyavritta vishayanapi स्फोरयेद् एकयत्नेन योऽसौ साक्ष्यत्र चिद्वपुः. Yeah, so now we are really coming to the meat of the chapter, and we were just before, what should we say, skin, bones we were looking at. Now we come to the part which we have all waited for, which is going to lead into the theatre lamp analogy very beautifully. That's what we have to look forward to as a nice treat. And this is just the build-up for that. And so what does he say? So just as, so these 8 and 9 have to be taken together. So the first one is the drishtanta, second one is the darshtanta. First one is the example, second one is that which is exemplified. So we have to add yatha here. Yatha idamaha ye visheshaha syuhu. Just as the idam vritti, the objects of this cognition, with specific attributes such as smell, taste and touch, are clearly and without any mix-up lighted up by the 5 sense organs ... in the same manner. So the internal, what should I say, the internal vrittis, what is that? Antarmukha vritti, what is that? Aham vritti. That aham vritti is also not the ultimate boss. It has one bada boss. What is that? Aham, sakshi, consciousness. Here finally we are coming to that. So let us not take the aham vritti to be consciousness. There is the aham in whose light the aham vritti does this job of robbing the consciousness and committing identity theft. and taking itself, and then but at the same time it takes itself to be a small miserable karta bhokta. And so here this idam vritti, what does it do? The aham vritti, the aham here, not the aham vritti, okay? Who is this? Sakshi. And the word sakshi is hidden with atra in what is that? In conjunction. There is a sandhi between sakshi and atra, sakshyatra. So you may not recognize the second last word here, sakshi. So here now, in the same manner, this consciousness recognized as the witness. Yaha sakshi, yaha asau sakshi, this which is recognized or cognized as the witness, this sakshi is also lights up. What does it lights up? Sporayet, illumines, lights up. Kartaram. Kartaram means the karta. Who is the karta? Doer. So, ahankara. So, it lights up the ahankara and it also lights up what? Kriyam. Kriyam means objects. So, here is a bada boss which lights up the subject and the object. Subject is ahankara here. So, that which is free of both subject and object, what does it do? It lights up the subjects and it lights up the objects. And so, kartaram cha kriyam cha. Very beautiful this is. So, kartaram means the actor, the doer. The doer is lit up. The doer thought, I am lighting everything up. But through a spontaneous mechanism which has nothing to do with action, the doer is lighting up everything else, correct? Including himself, herself as the doer. That requires effort. To become a karta bhokta requires effort. Here, it's an effortless lighting up that is happening. And he will say that in so many words. Here, the sakshi, which is consciousness and which is seen as light. Why? Because we don't have any other metaphors for Atma. Light or space, that's all it is. So this sakshi, which is seen as all light, lights up both what? Aham vritti and idam vritti. Lights up all the subjects that are to be lit up and lights up the objects also. So the idam vritti was a spoof. Idam vritti borrows from this sakshi and then becomes, the mind by itself is insentient, and then what? It borrows the light of consciousness. So the vrittis are illumined and seem to be independent actors. On the one hand, illumining the I notion, which is very much enmeshed with the notion, with ideas that one is a doer, one is an experiencer, one is a sad person, one is a useless person, etc. And then the same vritti which are illumined by consciousness in turn illumine the objects in the universe. So then, will the real light please stand up? This is what? Paramatma Advaya Purna Ananda. That's what we have to just keep going back to the first verse. This is what is Satchidananda. This Satchidananda lights the miserable ahankara up, and then so that it can come to wrong conclusion about itself, the Jagat and Ishvara. It also lights up the idam vritti so that it can go around saying this. And then the two dance very nicely or sadly. What does the aham vritti do? The aham vritti gets embroiled and enmeshed in the idam vritti and is unable to extricate itself, and therefore it goes around saying, I am sad, I am mad, I lack, I don't have. This is the dance. What is the sakshi do? Nothing. Simply shines the light. Like somebody like the sun. So the sun is shining the light on a group of people on a nice day studying Bhagavad Gita under a tree. The sun is shining the light. Under the next tree, there is another group of people. They are also studying very carefully. What are they studying? A manual of how to break into the bank and not get caught. Does the sun favor one group rather than the other? No. On both the groups, regardless of whether the activity we consider good, noble, sacred, or whether we consider that activity to be terrible, regardless of our judgment about the activity, the sunlight will illumine the bank robbers wannabe. The wannabe bank robbers are illumined, and the Gita students are also illumined. Correct? How? When? Not sequentially. It's not like, okay, I'll illumine this one first and then I will go there. No. Immediately, yugapat, simultaneously, without any gap. Why? Because consciousness being limitless, there is no gap. That's why the mind, which shines in the borrowed light of consciousness, is able to perceive everything seamlessly, like even the movement of this hand. When I go like this, you don't perceive it like this. You perceive it smoothly. Why is this possible? Because that consciousness lights up the seer, karta, and lights up the scene, mainly the motion of this hand, simultaneously, without any gap. And very beautiful here. So Sakshi means the witness. Why is it called the witness? Because it sees everything, nothing escapes it. Because it is sentient and ever present and all pervasive I. That's why it's called witness, because it's everywhere, all the time, without any gap. There is no gap. That's why it is called alupta drik. Pujya Swamiji used to illustrate it. Alupta drik means the seer without eyelids. Pujya Swamiji used to illustrate it by taking off his glasses and going like this. So, alupta drik, because even if you have eyelids, even in the blink of an eye, you say this. We say this all the time. In a blink of the eye, the wallet was stolen. Supposing you don't blink at all, you don't miss anything. So, this consciousness is like a pair of eyes or many eyes, Vishvato Mukham, eyes everywhere without eyelids. Does not miss anything, is ever present, and therefore is the witness of all the things that are there. So then, what have we left out? Let us see. Sakshi atra chidvapuhu. Chidvapuhu means whose form is formless chit. Chidvapuhu, whose form is the formless chit. So now, in the same manner, in which manner? Just like the specific attributes of the this cognition were illumined by the five sense organs without any mix-up, straight away. In the same way, the witness, who is this witness? The witness that is understood as consciousness, whose form, whose body, vapus means body, whose vapuhu, whose body is nothing other than consciousness. So this consciousness, what does it do? Just like the specific objects are lighted up, here the aham vritti is lit up and the idam vritti is also lit up. And who is this consciousness? Is this consciousness aham vritti or idam vritti? Neither. That which lights up the aham and the idam without being either. This consciousness. This is a very unique way of seeing this. We don't find this anywhere else. Adi Shankara talks about this a little bit in the Upadesha Sahasri, but his explanation is more vritti specific and vritti heavy. Here the vrittis are left behind and we go straight to this consciousness which lights up these vrittis and very beautifully presented. And so here, what is it to be understood? That who is this I? I am not the I notion which objectifies everything, and I am not the objects that light up, that I light up either. So I am not the ahankara. The ahankara usurps the consciousness as it were and says, oh, I am everything, I am this. It gets a lot of energy from usurping the consciousness and thinking of itself as be all and end all. And then it goes about saying, I am karta, now bhokta. So kartaram sporayet, it illumines the karta, and the karta is not the same. You know, you can be the karta of a song. You can be the author of a song. That you is different from being the author of a recipe. Correct? There is a slight difference in the karta. So then also the karta changes into manta, thinker. The manta changes into bhokta, experiencer. The bhokta changes into jnata, pramata. So all these changes, the changeless consciousness illumines the I notion and its road of self-destruction. Sad road of self-destruction, it simply illumines, while also illumining what? While also lending its presence to the idam vritti and illumining various objects which are lit up by the sense organs. So that means what? I am neither idam vritti nor I am aham vritti. What am I then? That which lends its presence to the idam vritti without becoming the idam vritti, and that which also lends its presence to the aham vritti without becoming aham vritti. That is who I am, and that is what I have to recognize, and we will do this with the help of an example. Let us just read the next verse. I'll chant the next one. Ikshe shrinomi jigrami Swadayami sprishamyaham Iti bhasayate sarvam Nrityashalasthadeepavat. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.